Alex Shields. This is going to be fun. I can feel it. I can feel it in my waters. So I have a an emerging closing tradition on this podcast, Alex, where I ask people what their superpower is, right? And I'm going to go completely opposite to that this time around because I already know what your superpower is because you and I had a chat last week. And normally when we have a little chat to prepare for the actual interview, um, we exchange pleasantries and then there's a few little questions and it's a general conversation, right? But the moment that you jumped on the line, you started asking questions and I went, wow, we're definitely going to have some fun with this guy here. And to me, that is your superpower. And I'll open with the question: is that your superpower? Because it seems like your curiosity to learn and your aggressive grab of knowledge and so on at such a young age is what makes you distinct and different and what makes you stand out from the crowd. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah, so it's gone pros and cons in ways over the years. Even from a young kid, I'd sometimes be asking the most bonkers questions, even to parents. It'd be like, I don't even know the answer to that, like stupid stuff. And but the one thing is, I find that is it helps me. Like if I don't know something, I want to end up trying to figure out how to know it. And sometimes it just if a thought comes in, I'll end up just blurting it out, hoping for an answer. Or if not, I'll go my own separate ways to figure out the answer. But I think it's just the more pursuit of knowing different things and just the way when my mind kind of links onto something of a kind of topic or a desire, I kind of just try to figure out everything and anything about that. But it could be from the most randomest things in the world. But it's just I like to kind of ask questions and more hear about people because I could learn one thing off them that could drastically change like things that I could end up be doing, and just more of a curiosity factor, not
Yeah.
necessarily about business or life. It's just the thought of knowing more or less is what I kind of get intrigued. And from the age of 3, asking the most stupid questions of how much birds are in the sky to now, or asking how to set up a campaign and different aspects of when I was learning at the start. It's just like I've always had that thought of figuring out in a sense.
Yeah. Well, I had an interesting one. I was at the football club with my kids this evening, and my 10-year-old boy, on the way home in the car, he asked me, Dad, what's the best way to pop your own eyeball out? And I just went, wow, that's an interesting question.
We can,
Uh,
I'd say.
yeah. So what was your mad thought today? Did you have any mad
Oh,
questions in your head today that you wanted to find the answers to?
probably too many. But yeah, no, there's a lot of them that always come to me. One realization that keeps coming is like the whole actual. It's probably a very too much deep thought for the podcast, but it's actually like reality, like the whole actually purpose of life. I don't know if you ever sit down and you kind of absorb the actual like what is the reason that we're here, like what is the reason that I can speak through this laptop and it hits you 20 kilometers away, and kind of how everything actually works in a sense kind of fascinates me. And I don't know even if anyone knows the answer to it, in a sense of if it's God, if it's the universe. And my brain has just been trying to plug different things to figure out what that is and why we're here in a sense. And that's something that keep I resonating back to. But I'd say I may never know the answer, you know.
Yeah, but you won't die from lack of trying to find out, you know.
Yeah.
By the way, it's not at all too deep. I think it's absolutely perfect for the podcast. I'm up for it. Whatever you want to talk about, that's absolutely cool with me. So so have you managed to discover your own why? I mean, do you know why you're on this earth?
As of now, no, in a sense, and that's going to be me open and honest. To be honest, I don't know a fraction of anything in a sense, but on a day to day basis, I try to pick up different things because if I learn one new thing, it will help me try know in a sense. And what I'm trying to know is I still don't know. But in a sense, is like I just try to kind of take control of the day, the week, and what I can kind of take control now of and kind of build. I kind of know where I want to be in life in a sense of kind of the person I want to strive to and kind of the life and the kind of it's like actual things he does and then the kind of things he has in a sense. Obviously inner
And
and
what's more important, the things he does or the things he has?
I think the impact that the impact I want to make in the world. Obviously, we all have the kind of a lot of people have the desire for materialistic things, but I just feel like if I chase that too young, it could end up down. Once you achieve it, you end up down another rabbit hole of why you achieved it. You know.
Yeah, yeah. So have people called you extraordinary before? Have people said you're different, Alex? You're you're the one percenter. Have you had that kind of reaction from people in the past, or you yourself, have you noticed different things about yourself, or things that make you different?
In terms, yes and no. I kind of keep a lot of things to myself in senses, but then like I won't. I kind of depending on the person I'm speaking to, we can talk in different things that we connect with in a sense. Like, but like I'm in school, I'm probably like it's my playful side. I'm silly, I mess about, and people think that Alex doesn't have a brain cell in his head. Like it's just the way I am. It's the fun I have in there. But and then if I'm in business conversations, it could be like, oh, he has an idea, he can fix that problem, he knows what he's doing, he's an expert at what he does in that sense. And then in general things, I could be silly, but like in that sense is like there's never been really one standout moment. People have their own opinions of who I am and kind of what I do, but I don't really see myself as too different. It just kind of I try to take control of what I am and kind of try achieve to where I want to go. But in a sense, it's just kind of taking action of what I want to do in a sense. But
Yeah,
I had a few moments. Um, in kind of experiences. One recently was in school with my guidance counselor, and we were talking about career paths, and I kind of went into it, and because I kind of sometimes struggle in school, just kind of a lack of interest, and sometimes I like my brain works in a weird fashion. It's like I have to kind of see the outcomes to myself. And it's been something that I'm working on because it's a big thing my parents want me to achieve is the leaving cert and do well in it. And we've came to a full agreement on how it all works. It's just I have to finish it out just to kind of a means to an end and achieve it and get the kind of the overall kind of the milestone and the person I become in there. But the kind of educational side of things, I try to learn different bits here and there, but sometimes kind of the day-to-day things that we're learning, my brain would be so fascinated in the book where I can apply now and I can learn one thing now instead of kind of the whole grand scheme of the leaving cert, because I just don't think the points resonate on the person. I think it's all about points, points, points. But the guidance teacher, we were going through courses and we couldn't get one to click. And it was through every one. And she was just like, I've never met anyone that I couldn't find the course for. But she kind of pretty much said, I'm not worried about you at all. She just said, because the one thing that we kept going back to is psychology. But I just said I do that as a personal kind of thing to learn, and there's
yeah.
all. But as a kind of career path, I think I'll always try wheel and deal and try find solutions to problems because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if I'm making zero or if I'm making billions. It doesn't matter to me. It's just if I can, I just like to have the control of solving the problem and fixing it. And if it's with a team or if it's by myself, I just like to have that kind of full risk and the full reward, and that kind of brings me joy.
So if I asked you, are you comfortable in your own skin, Alex? First of all, would that make sense? And how would you answer that one?
Um, could you break down that a small bit? Would it just be as a person as myself, or is it kind of like
Yeah, you seem like a very self-contained, self-sufficient guy who knows where he's going and is not really too worried about what other people think. Is that a fair assumption on my behalf or not?
yeah, so in aspects there is. Now obviously I try to take feedback off people and there is certain aspects of life that I would take inputs and I would let it kind of deter of how I make decisions. In the kind of grand scheme of things, I don't really. When I was younger, I did a lot. And that's one thing is I think like yeah, I kind of blew past because I made a few. I kind of took a few things. I posted a few videos, or I took a chance by making that call, and eventually that kind of wear out of me on a micro scale, and on a macro too. It doesn't really bother me. There obviously is certain situations, maybe like I wouldn't even be able to come up with an example where I would take decisions, or if friends and family would give me inputs, I would take their advice and care what they think, just because a lot of time they do know what's best for me, sometimes that I might not even see myself. But I, on a grand scale and kind of on a day-to-day basis, not really. I kind of just wing it half the time. But I kind of take confidence and belief in myself that I can do what I kind of am aiming to do.
We talked about your lust for knowledge and your curiosity. Can you track that back all the way to your very early years?
Yeah, so when I was younger, it was I always the kind of I have a personality trait that I've kind of figured out over the years, that I have a lot of I have very obsessive behavior. Now, I've never been diagnosed with the likes of OCD, but I have a lot of traits from it. And it was negative in certain aspects of my life of obsessing about things that I shouldn't have, in aspects of just like mental health. But then going right back, I've always been very like, if my mind clicks with something, it just is like 100 mile an hour. Like when I mean, like it's just obsessive. And it's been like that since like right, and I can think back of. It originally started in kickboxing, but that's the first thing I can remember of. Probably there was other things before that, could have been crayons or of some sort. But it was kickboxing, and it was consistent. Like I was doing it for years. I was trying to get better and better and better, and worked the way up the belts. And I was doing some bits here and there for competitions with Ireland. Now I wasn't ever too good, but it was like in 2016, I was young and I was doing tournaments, and it was kind of that progressive. And then I kind of, the one thing with like the way my trade is sometimes I could go all for everything, and then it could kind of, I lose the spark for it, and then it's kind of all or nothing. So that's one thing. Now that's the one thing, is the kickboxing over next years that I want to pick up. Right now, I just currently don't have the time, just with hurling and school and the business. But maybe when I kind of get out of school, it is a hobby that I do want to pick back up. And then after that, it was art. I was big into art for years, and it was art. And then it was guitar. But now I do have all these little sub skills, and I went from a beginner at the guitar to very good in less than a year and a half. And it was just because it was consistent. And then ever so sudden it clicked with the business aspect. And that's been something that I've kind of been able to see a kind of gain out of. And the kind of, it's not even necessarily about the kind of, everyone gets into business to try make a bit of money and try to kind of, open up doors in that sense. But it's been more the things that the business has brought me, the friendships, the connections, the pursuit for knowledge through the books, and the things like, there's so much avenues that it's opened up from things that you need to kind of develop a business. That kind of fascinates me about that. And that is kind of my focus now. And I do think that will be a lot longer than the kind of hobbies I built up over a kid. But I hope that my kind of main focus now is being able to, instead of when I was younger, I would drop them and pick up the newest thing, is to be able to kind of consistently ride the wave out and stack it on top, and is more develop into a person that is great at a lot of things instead of one and then dropping and then the other.
Yeah, and we are here, of course, to talk about your business, but
Yeah.
talking about you is even more fascinating. So, if you don't mind my saying so, and I'm just keen to understand, what are the triggers? So, if you go back to those obsessions, if you want to call them that,
Yeah.
that you had, like the guitar and so on, can you pinpoint the moment when you say, "Yep, I'm into this," or is it something that you gradually grow into?
It just clicks when it clicks, and it's the exact same with everything I've ever done. Like, and I just remember, like with the kickboxing, it was a neighbor on the road, and they were going kickboxing. And then I ended up just clicking, and then I just was obsessed. And with the guitar, I think it was one Christmas, I was just like, oh, I'd love to get a guitar. It was a thought that came to my mind, and it could have been from God, or it could have been from the universe, but it was just a click. Oh, I think I should get a guitar. And the next thing you know, consistent. And then with the business, it was just a fluke of just a thought of, all right, I'll take action on that. I think I should run a business. And then just enough time at it, it was that. But I think it's just, there's been no really determined influences on any of them. It could have
Yeah.
been a subconsciously influence off something that I've heard before in the past, or I've seen, but it just kind of, it clicks, and it's literally just a thought that I end up just taking action on and going on. And
Yeah.
sometimes it can be positive, and sometimes it can be negative, because with the way it's obsessive is if it does ever click for me in a negative way and it gets obsessive, that's why I always have to be careful that it's all going into positive things. Because when I was about 12, I was I went down a very obsessive mentally, through the kind of from sixth class into first year, and I kind of would my brain would never switch off, and but I end up finding the guitar. Then if I have a positive outlet, I can proceed very forward. But when I get in on my head when I was younger, the kind of obsessiveness could sometimes be in a negative aspect. And that's me being open and honest. So when I have an outlet and I have something to kind of strive towards, that kind of keeps me going. And it doesn't really at the end of the day matter sometimes how much like it's something that I have to strive towards. And if it's a goal or if it's learning the next song or if it's, I always have to have that kind of North Star to aim towards.
And how far do you take these obsessions? So if we take the guitar as an example, did you join a band or was it you just sitting in your room learning to be brilliant on the guitar?
Yeah, so the guitar is a kind of a funny story. When I started off, it was just like plucking along and trying to learn up a few songs. And then next thing you know, I was jumping out on sessions with full confidence with two songs singing. And now, to be fair, I did lose that confidence with the guitar over kind of just not the consistent practice of it. But like I remember I was 12, I'd run out and there'd be a group of old lads and I'd just jump out with the guitar and say, "Can I play?" And they're kind of looking at me like, who is this kid? But that's kind of that. But the guitar is something that I do miss, but I do pick up every once in a while as more just a kind of detox in a sense. But how far I take the obsessions depends on I haven't got to enough of my life to be able to actually track them down. I haven't broken them down enough to be able to know. But it's kind of just like they've never really broken off. But my energy depends on what's my main focus, and for that, it kind of just depends on what my goals are at the current time.
Yeah, you mentioned hurling. So is hurling an obsession for you now at the moment?
Hurling, I wouldn't say is so called an obsession. I really do enjoy hurling as more of a kind of it's tough being out with the senior team and trying to train in the matches. And the one thing I like about hurling is kind of like last night, for example, I didn't play great. Like, and it's kind of the one thing I learned is it's hard, but has its up and down. Like you can have a great match and you're delighted with yourself, or you can have a bad game, but it's more kind of the hard part of it I enjoy, and kind of being up there with older lads and taking the hits and trying to get improved and trying to get fitter. It's something that I enjoy, because if I'm consistently just in school and trying to run the business, I don't have that outlet. And I think it's a good balance to have. And it's great to learn off the older lads and see how they're going and see how they're training and progressing, that I can try and learn off. But as a sense of an obsession, I've kind of balanced that out in a sense. It's not as 100 mile an hour on one avenue, but it is still as a collective an obsession towards a goal. But the
Yeah,
hurt
yeah.
more just kind of a seasonal, it kind of is on and off, but I just kind of more enjoy going up and training and trying to get better at that.
It's an interesting case study because as part of a hurling team, you're part of a team
Yeah.
and you're no longer the individual contributor that you are playing the guitar or running your business
Yeah.
or some of the other obsessions. So do you feel comfortable working with a team in hurling as you are playing the guitar on your own? Which would you prefer?
I do prefer myself. And in that sense is because I know that my performance either way is the best that I can kind of do. But the sometimes with the team is like I feel like I'm letting the team down if I'm not like I could not be on my day. And you've probably if you played GA or hurling back in the past, like sometimes like I went there last night and I was trying to get into it as much as I could, but when your head's not there and you get in on yourself, it's just hard to click. And sometimes I feel like, well, I'm letting another 14 lads on the team and I'm letting the coaches down on the sideline if I'm not doing as hard as I can. And it's like I'm trying to control. But when there's a slitter that's being rocketed around the pitch at 100, it's sometimes it is hard to take full control. And in a sense, it's like I do enjoy it as a team, and I think I learned different skills from it. But I do really like myself when I have full control of things. But I think it's good to have that balance between team and yourself, because the more kind of skills you pick up off them, the better I can become in a sense in all aspects of life.
And how does it make you feel if your teammates don't play up to your standards?
I never let that get at me. Because I when you find with the hurling, like I don't really judge anyone else. It's always myself. I'd never like pick a lad on the pitch and say he played terrible because, but I'd only end up targeting myself. And it could have been because I joined hurling late. I joined at 12 and then gave it up at 13 and then joined again and picked it back up. So in the GA kind of world that is late, people are kind of start from 4 or 5. So it took me a long time to kind of get my spot on the team and then kind of integrate with the team. So I've never really been judgy, or I've never been I kind of try support in a sense. But yeah, no, I never really judge. If I can help someone come along, but for myself, it's just a lot of kind of criticism myself. But it's probably something that kind of makes me not as confident in games at times, is because I can be so hard on myself. And I know a lot of GA players and hurlers would feel that. I know a good friend of ours, John's, he's told me a lot about that. He, on his county team, he had a mental coach that was telling him a lot about kind of overcoming different things like that GA players suffer with. But I think that's something that I can probably work on myself, is just the mental frame going into a GA match, and kind of how to not be so hard on yourself if you miss a ball, and
Yeah, and just for those who are not familiar with Irish sporting life,
yeah,
the GA that Alex is referring to, of course, is GAA, Gaelic Athletic Association. We have two
yeah,
national sports, Gaelic football and hurling, and they're all under the banner of the GAA, which is affectionately known as GA. So
yeah.
that's what it is, in case you're wondering.
There, I do football and hurling, but then there's soccer. People call that football, so it's all a a few different ones.
Yeah, yeah. So moving on to the business then,
Yeah,
if I heard you correctly, the business is not something that you stumbled upon, but it's something that you made a conscious decision to get into. You didn't kind of fall into it. You designed yourself into a business.
yeah.
And tell us about your business and why did you choose that business?
Yeah, so regarding the current business, I won't kind of jump straight to where it is, just due to it has been an accumulation of different things. And that's kind of sub skills that have got me to where I am today. Because if I started where I was now, I wouldn't have a clue. And in a sense, it all kind of started back. My first ever thing, I was probably about 2.5. I was just went into maybe, I was probably the end of second year, started third year in secondary school. And it was just an idea. I heard one of the lads talking about it, and then I heard it on TikTok, and it was called drop shipping. Now everyone probably hears this term when it comes to, and it's just the idea of making money. And I just thought that was class. Like, I know a lot of people that are kind of have business will relate to this. And I stumbled across that, and I just said, let's give it a shot. Everyone else is kind of talking about it, and I hear and here and there. And I just said, let's try put something to paper and let's see if we can make it work. And it was the first ever time I ever actually took action on anything of this sort. And I got a Shopify store. I paid €3 on a Revolut card that I had, a Kids Revolut. I got the free month of Shopify, and I set up my store. I built a website. I connected the domain. I had a letter one at the end of it, and I think it was whatever. It was a brutal. The whole setup was terrible, but in a sense, I learned some basic skills from it, and I figured I fascinated me that I could buy something from China, and when I pressed the button, it shipped to their door, and I learned some things. But at the end of it, I was probably about 3 weeks in, and when I went to kind of try go live with it, um, the payments on it, I faked all the details the whole way through because I was probably just gone 15, maybe 14, and it was all fake. So when they asked for the passport at the end to get the payment set up, it says, wah, you're not getting through. So the only payment I could take was PayPal. And I was like, no, I'm shutting this down. So in a sense, I did give up, probably for a good reason, and I did make some embarrassing videos at the time that I did get a bit of slag in school from just trying to market it in different bits. But now that I look back on, I laugh at it, and it was a funny stepping stone. And it's good to say on calls like this and say to the lads. But at the time, I did get a bit of a slagging for it. But that was kind of the first venture.
And what were you purchasing?
Um, they're jaw sizers. They import them from China. They're like jaw exerciser tools. I was buying them for 50 cents and selling them for €13. The next competitor was selling them for 30. So I was like, that's a good profit margin.
Yeah.
So
Wow. Did you sell many of them?
No, I sold zero. I bought one and shut the door. But because I had no idea of the actual business. I literally, it was just something more that it wasn't a business. I just tried to set something up, and did fail because I had never there were resources. But about 2 months after that, I was sitting on a group call of just some networking group online, and I don't know how it was more of an improvement group shot of kind of just all around, because I was trying to get into trying to better myself, this and that. And I stumbled across a man named John O'Kane. He was a year older than me, and he was living about 40 minutes down the road from me, in Port Arlington. And we were in a group call about eight, and we both heard two Irish voices. And from there, like the chances, we still were talking about it today, that the chances of us ever meeting were like slim to none. And he started originally. I heard what he was doing. His older brother showed him how to build websites a year before, like a portfolio based website.
Yeah.
So it was a portfolio based website. His brother kind of showed him how to build kind of basic, simple websites and how businesses can promote themselves online. And he showed me the basics on what a domain was. If you don't know what a domain is it could be like so .ie, so your company name .ie. He showed me how to buy one of them, register one of them, link it to your hosting, so that's what your website's on the internet, and all the different subscales. And I went away. We didn't probably speak for 2 weeks, and I went to a family. I had two networks in my family. I got my first two projects, and they kind of gave me the spark and the opportunity to kind of get my first bit of ground. And I'm forever grateful that I had the privilege to be able to do that. And I went back to him and I was like, "Look, I built two websites," and he was fascinated because everyone else he showed how to do this never did anything with it. And from there, we kind of sparked with each other. I had skills that he didn't have, and he had skills that I didn't have. And June of, I think it was 2023, we decided to partner up, and we end up making the business that we have today called One Media. Now the story does unfold a bit more, but we kind of we started off just we got one or two projects here and there, and we were delighted. We'd get paid for a website, and it was like it was split down the middle, and I'd built half it, he'd built half it, and we were delighted. And then we'd get another one, and we get another one, and then it kind of came all to a sudden, like we were kind of riding the wave of kind of our first little few wins, and then we were like, okay, now we have to try and make this work. So we had these big ambitions and dreams, and we started off then trying to call businesses. And when you're trying to call a business saying, when you have no sales skills, I have a video of me, I have a squeaky voice in it, and I was trying to close a guy, and I just turned around and says, can I build you a website? I'll do it for you half price because I've never built one before. And he was just like, go away. And and in a sense that we were just I was doing all the sales at the time. I was picking up the phone, and I couldn't make a sale. So we quickly turned around, and I was just like, let's just build up a few case studies. Let's just get a few good referrals. So I start doing websites for free. But the catch is you have to pay me €25 a month, so I can cover my costs at the end, my costs to run the things. Now, at the time, we had a cost at the end of the year for our bit. We have a big hosting plan, but into proportion, it was just, we called it chicken roll money. We'd get €11 a month each per client, and it was enough to buy lunches and this and that. And we got a few of them on, maybe 5, 6, and we got 6 really good websites built. And this is over accumulation of time. And then we get referrals from that. So someone's like, I need a website. I need a website. So then we were getting a bit of bob here and there, and it just for a small website, like it was nothing crazy. And we were building a few, and we were delighted. And then I was in TY, so I was approaching different people.
Transition year, of course,
Transition
yeah.
year. Yeah. And I was approaching different people, and one man's name was Adam Swan, and he ran a group in the school called Movement More. His business was, and I it was, everyone went for lunch, and I kind of shrugged myself and went down the corridor to try talk to him. I was nervous, and I tried to pitch him. Now, obviously, I was pitching for free, and I asked him, could I build you a website? And he loved the confidence that I went up, and he was kind of like in wow that I went up and asked him, and I built him a free website. And then off the back end of that, I learned a lot off him. Just kind of, he was sharing me things on how I can get better at sales. And we kind of built it up in that way. Now I do have another thing to touch on in TY, but I will keep
Yeah,
going.
I need to take you back a step because that's an amazing story. However, there was one aspect of the story which I was intrigued by,
Yeah.
and that was the fact that at the age of 15 or 16, if I'm picking it up correctly, you were part of a group, a mentoring group, did you say? And so, what inspired you to do that, or how did you even know that there were mentoring groups out there?
Yeah, so the original group wasn't actually the I know the one that you have in your head.
No, no, I don't. I don't. But
Okay.
I'm just
Yeah,
amazed that
yeah.
you were open to joining a group to better yourself, as you said yourself earlier.
It was a YouTuber online was the one, and now looking back, some of the videos are a bit kind of fringy and weird in a sense, but there was good morals out of it. And I just joined as a curious kid. It was my first time ever on the call, and it was your man's first time ever on the call, and we met from there. And I wouldn't even call it necessarily mentoring group. It was just more of collective people trying to get better, and it was people from all over the world. And the chances of a lad 40 minutes away and me there was just we just thought it as a sign, like, and we never thought that we'd go anywhere after that. He thought it was just another gobshite sitting on his phone, and I thought the same. And then when I first heard him, I was like, "Holy shit, this is class!" And then we kept back and forward, and it ended up sparked up from there.
Yeah, great, great. Okay, go on back to your TY story then.
Yeah, so TY, there was a few, but regarding, I will go back to the actual business and how it led up. But I this could go off two different tangents here. It's but
Let's
uh,
do it.
yeah.
Let's do it. Who cares?
So in TY, as I said, I was going up to a lot of the kind of people that were doing the workshops in a sense, and nearly pitching myself and trying to get. And I got one, and then I ended up, one girl actually had a web development agency, and I got different opportunities from talking to different people. But the one thing I did at the start of TY was since I was kind of in this space of kind of entrepreneurship and self improvement, just from selling basic websites, I stumbled across. I know from some of the past people that I'm in touch with that you have on the podcast of Adam Power. So I was listening to a podcast of a guy named Darren Lee. When I was out the back and I was doing a workout, and I was listening to the podcast, and I heard Adam Power and Darren Lee. And these are two Irish guys that I heard were doing very well, and I was fascinated. I was just like this. They're both so young. So I was in touch with Darren a lot, just asking for different advice. And like, he's after shot up like crazy in the recent years. And I'd say if I went right back, he may remember me to the 15-year-old consistently asking about websites and different things. But he gave me a lot of things that I actually implemented that drastically changed. And for him, it was such a micro, but the impact that made on me just was exponential, like from the things I got to learn from him. And then one day I just decided to message Adam after listening to the podcast. I always was trying to reach out and text people and ask for advice. And I just, like, as I said, I'd just take action. I just said, why not? Like, what do I have to lose? I'm 15 in a room, and Kildare, Ireland, and they're all the way up here. And I just said, why not? So I reached out to Adam and just said, I think the message was, I have the message there, but it's, hi, my name's Alex. I'm a 15-year-old from Kildare, Ireland, and I recently just set up my web development by business. By any chance, would you have any advice? And Adam was so generous. This is probably about 2.5 years ago. And he gave me a really lovely long message back, and I was in shock. He was like, you're light years ahead. I was 21 when I started, and this and that, and this is my journey. And he's like, if there's anything I can do for you, I'll always help out. And we were talking back and forth, and a bit time went by, and the teachers in school says, okay, it's transition year time. You need to get work experience. And I just turned around and I just like, nothing clicked to me. And as I said, I was thinking, and it was so different. Everyone was kind of saying, we'll go, I'll, I could have, because my father is a carpenter. So I was thinking, I'll go and do carpentry. And I was thinking different ideas. And I just got a spark and just said, why don't I ask someone so Adam had a group at the time. It is different to what it is now, but it was a public open Discord group. It was free to join. It was really big at the time. And I just put in and said, look, I'm in transition year. I'm trying to find something that I'm actually would be interested in on the online kind of space. Would anyone have any ideas of what I can do? And I had one or two people say, come work for me, come work for me. And Adam just says, Alex, my man, hey, come work for Powered. And I was like, what? I was fascinated. So I got
What did you call it? A disco group?
yeah, it was Discord at the time.
Di-
It's
Discord or
Yeah,
Disco?
Discord.
Oh,
So
Discord.
it's
Okay.
Adams, and now normally it's gaming and different things. It's resonated too, but Adam had this group that I seen after originally reaching out to him, and I think I used to just send in just graphic design bits. I was sending the skills I could do bits of the websites, graphic design, and they were like, "Yeah, come work for Empowered." So Adam took me under Empowered, and I was a 15-year-old just sitting on calls with these like big brand deals, like these big brand deals. And I'm sitting there in the corner with my bed in the background. And I'm like, no, I flipped it around better for calls these days, but I'm still in my room here. And Adam was kind of just like, I was going under his wing, and then I was in with the team, and he'd get me doing sub skills. Like I built out his email list where he sent his email list from today, and I was doing different bits. Like I was editing videos for him, and I was building different tasks. And he was like, at the time, it was probably a bit like Mr. Miyagi at the time. At the time, I was just thinking these are just basic admin tasks, but he was saying like, look, you'll end up doing this for yourself and in no length of time. Like just keep at them. And then I got an opportunity, and this will kind of lead back into the business avenue that I was kind of like um, he said, look, he put up on his story and says, look, Alex is trying to build up some more skills. He has a web development company. And I got a massive opportunity for one client. It was a free website, as I said, but her name was Health with Holland, Becca Holland. She has about 1 million followers on her Instagram and TikTok and across the different platforms. And it was pretty much a full start to finish website e-commerce store. And I jumped on the call, as I said, in the background, and they thought I was done college and this and that. And I was doing this in TY, and I started building out this store for them. I went through the full start to finish, and I built out the complete. So Adam's team was over the marketing and pushing traffic, but I built the full system from the website of how it loads to the transactions. And it was my first ever experience at that. And myself and John built up, and we were figuring out along the way, if we were to be quite honest. And she went to be on one of the clients that we've worked with throughout the business up to now. Now things have they spurted, which does get kind of later on, but to be part of the team and to be learned. And later on with myself and Adam's journey. Oh, Nikki, you went again there. Oh no, you're back. Sorry.
Yeah.
So myself and Adam's journey later on, um, he went to develop his university. So he was consistently preparing this content over years, and he wanted to share back of what he'd done. And he turned around and says, Alex, can you help me put this all together? And this is the platform that I kind of thinking of going on, and this is the content, and it's all in this. Will you help me? So I then day by day started copy and pasting all this content into his school community, and we were sharing our ideas, and we're doing this and that, and we're posting, and we're like, should we do this? Should we do that? And it was a lot of just basic admin work, but I learned so much of kind of building it, and I designed all the posts, and I put different things together and the level unlocks. And he just texts me, look, I need all of this in, and I'd get a massive file, and I'd be like, oh, that's a day gone. But I stayed patient with it, and I enjoyed it. And then coming at the end of my transition year, I never swapped. I just was so enjoyment. And if I wasn't necessarily always working for Adam on a Wednesday, I would be doing client work that I had on the side. So I was balancing the two of them. And then Adam turned around one day and just said, Alex, I want to make this launch. Do you want to come out to Marbella? I want to make this happen. So I was like, I heard that message, and I was just like, what the hell? I was like, man, dad, look at this, look at this. And he said that he'd cover me to come out. He'd provide for me if I did the rest and got this launch for his big launch. And I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. So I was 16 at the time, so I was old enough to fly out, and I went out and I was with him, and I was with some of the team. And I was putting this together, and it was just like that experience that I had was just life changing. Like I went back, and my eyes are just kind of like the world that it was in. Like I just went from sitting in the room just putting in post to being in the sun, and I think he was in a Mercedes convertible flying through Marbella with three cool lads. I was just like, I was blown away. Like my brain just went from there to there, just like absorbing knowledge. And even Adam was saying, like, Alex, you don't stop asking questions, because I'd be consistently wrecking his head, like asking this and this. And he's like, you don't switch off, man. But we developed the course, and we got a good bit done. And now I probably should have done more and more on the course, but we were doing bit by day. But I was so shiny object syndrome of everything around me, and just the fact of how everything functioned. And there was another guy, James Gallagher, there, another guy called Ollie. So Ollie was Adam's current videographer at the time, and James runs a thing called A Players Club. He's gone off to be very successful. And so I just got around, and so was Ollie, and just the network that I had in that house was just like something different that I never ever experienced before, and I won't probably for another little while. And in that sense, it just really opened my eyes. And then I went back, and we had the event was on in Marbella. So I was at the event. So there was a collective of about 60 to 100 different entrepreneurs at all different levels and just to be able to around that and that kind of vast opportunities. And I went up to every person shaking hands with. Next thing you know, I was like, what's your Instagram? And they follow you back, and it's like 500,000 followers. And I'm like, what the? I was like, so that was a little later. Adam said he was hosting an event. So I asked, I was like, said it to the parents, and they're like, just go for it. So Adam said, look, buy the base ticket and I'll upgrade you to the VIP. So the VIP is pretty much you have a dinner the day before. So I was just like fully blown away by that whole experience, from being able to work with him to the event. And then from the event, the network that I built off from that was just like, I was blown away, and it still stands to me today. And he's hosting another one in June. So myself and John are going to go out for the one in June now in a couple of months.
Great, great. What a story. What an unbelievable story. So where are you at with your business now? Like, you're still in school,
Yeah.
and are you doing Leaving Cert this year or next year, or
Yeah.
and where are you at with your business, and which one is taking priority?
Yeah, so that does vary. So I just really spin back and kind of wind it up to where it is now. Is so the business after we kind of ran it out with the websites for a little while, and my business partner John went to college, and he started studying occupational therapy, so which is a great course, very hard course. And we just had different misalignments with the business. Yeah, so pretty much to kind of fast track, rewind everything up till after that kind of event, there's a few months where we were continuing doing the websites. We got some great projects, like we built a marketplace, and we had more of the kind of basic portfolio websites, and we were happy out. But after kind of seeing all the people at the event and all the people around trying to strive for greatness and hit these great kind of targets, and we couldn't really achieve that with just the websites alone. So I was trying to kind of build up the skills, and myself and John were thinking, and we were trying to go full hell to leather. And John he's studying in Trinity College, occupational therapy. So it was a massive course, massive time constraint for him. So we decided to kind of part ways. And we are great terms. John is a lovely lad, and he's still going to succeed greatly with the avenue he goes down. And we may partner back up in the future, but just as of now, he just said, Alex, look, I'm going to let you go off by yourself because you have different aspirations than what I do. And, in a business, if you still have different outcomes, it just can collide. So we parted ways on good terms just at the shortcoming of December. I think it was January. It was the 31st of December. We had a call and we just made the change. And we are currently still in the kind of, we did have a limited company set up in that whole process. And so there is kind of the limited companies in my mom and his mom's name, since we are both underage. So there is currently kind of untanglement of kind of getting that all arranged at the minute. But we have a very great relationship. We still meet up for coffees. We still share inputs. So it's all a very clean process. We were both blessed for that. So the kind of the terms that we left is he took some of the projects that we had ongoing, and I took the company. So that kind of left me with a fresh slate, with a load of experience, a load of sub skills to kind of work off from. And then from January 1st, we're only 3 months after that, I really decided to pull all the skills together, and I combined my kind of new product, which was a revenue growth partner for local service-based businesses. And the one thing I've always found at the websites, it was great to be able to give a company that exchange of value, but it was never something that I could contribute, see the result for myself. And I was always like, how can I see the result? Because I'm always fully outcomed, like I want to see the end result. So I built a product that I could do that with. And my current product that I kind of run with at the minute is we pick an end goal, we'll partner together. So if let's say a guy that runs a bathroom renovation company says, I want to have an extra van on the year. I want to take an extra 4 bathrooms on a month. And this gives me full freedom where I can get off the tools and I can work 5 days less and only manage a team. So we'll set that outcome. And for me to do that is we need to get more jobs in. So then I run my end of the things. So I will then find him leads, interested customers in his service, and then I'll pass them on to just an app on his phone where he does what he does best, calls and closes the deals. So we kind of have that mutual partnership, and I have that kind of currently with 5 to 6 different local service-based business. If it's bathrooms, if it's kitchens, if it's home extensions. So we all have our kind of desired outcome, our goal, and then I come in, I do my part of the partnership, and they do theirs, and we both strive towards that. So that is kind of where up till now, and I've been running that Pacific offer since March, and we've developed the product more and more, and we will do to into foreseeable future. And it's great that all the kind of sub skills that I've learned up to now, to connecting a domain, to building the website, to learning the ad accounts, all from the experience with Adam, with myself, with John. I got to kind of bundle all up together and
Yeah.
market.
So are you still building websites or not?
Yeah, so I do still build the occasional website, because if a client doesn't have a website currently in play and we're pushing a load of traffic to their business and we're getting leads, there has to be a foundation where they can still contact or they can still see more about. So we do still build websites, but the main product is the partnership, and it's to getting the consistent customers in the door so they can grow their business. But the website is kind of just a component of the
Yeah.
overall product. But before it was the full product that I had, but now it's more of a kind of growth constraint product where we're working. I think constraints around more growth orientated product where we're growing their business. But the website was just a small component. The past is the only skill I had, but now we just use that as a subcomponent of the whole system to make that happen for them.
Yeah. So back to education just for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Um, is education important for you? Will you go on to do college, or will you continue in the business full time?
Yeah, so the leaving cert, I know that was kind of the original question, and the education. Um, the one thing is, as a school, is I try to put, I show up every day. Now, some days the teacher, my attendance, if you look at the VS, where it can be a bit red, yellow, green, it's like a traffic light some days, but some weeks. But I do try show up, and I want to go through the rest of the kind of the finish line. Now I've had other inputs from people that are where I want to be, of saying you should just go take the bullet and pursue what you want. But from my mom and dad, my dad just always said, and my mom just said, finish it out. We're not going to force you to go to college. Originally, when I was younger, it was go to college, and kind of get that, because I do come for a very well-grounded, hard-working family. They want me to kind of go down, get college, and go get a good job and provide for myself. But they've now seen that I kind of, the way I am after the different kind of ventures, that they just said, look, we just want to get you through leaving, sir. We just want you to, we don't care about if you get 600 points, just pass and we're happy. So I do try show up every day as much as I can, and I do try kind of give it all. Now, sometimes I will, I have a very playful side in school. I'm very relaxed. I'm kind of just, I'm very laid back. Now I do have summer tests coming up soon, so I probably will have to start studying a bit. But I do find it very hard to balance the two of them. Is my only kind of constraint at the minute, so it's kind of nearly a hold back. But I'm happy to kind of slow down the progress in the business for now, just for a means to an end, because I can never go back on the 2 years now. And like in the long term of things, it's just better to finish it out, because if I drop it all now, I'm straight into the big bad world, and then I have to 100% go all in and make it work. And I want that, and I will still do that, but they just want me to finish it out because that was what they've asked for me to do. So I think just out of respect for my mom and dad is what I will complete the leaving cert, and I will just get that milestone.
Yeah. From a work point of view, you've done a few things already. You've built websites,
Yeah.
you've become a growth partner. Do you feel like you've discovered your niche, or is there still a lot of discovery to do? Are you happy with where you're at now, or will you still continue to push the envelope and try different things like, I don't know, coding or whatever? Do you think software is something that you might be interested in, or are you happy wheeling and dealing? Are you happy with the level of revenue that's coming in at this early stage of your business? Where do you see yourself landing?
Yeah, so Nikki, that's a good question. It's something that always tricks my mind every day. Now, I don't think I will ever stop with the kind of pursuit of financial and the growth of the business. I just think it's something that obviously it's been an obsession to grow. Now it is finding that threshold where it's like the balance is like, all right, you don't want to chase any further, but I'm very far off that point now. It's not something that I have to worry about. But my main goal at the minute is I don't know if this business, I'm very young to know if this business will be the one that I will run for the foreseeable future. But the way I see it is I know right now that for my current partnerships is that I can provide and solve a problem for them that helps them on a day-to-day basis that grows their business. So that fascinates me. Like when I do be in class and I see, oh, I got the home extension. I'm like that value for me is just it blows my mind, and I never had that with the websites because I could never see it. Now if a lead went through, but it went through my form, but now I know that I put this campaign in front of their ideal customer and they got a client from what I did. So that's just my kind of short teams to solving problems that are in my kind of reach, with my kind of school situation and trying to balance it. But long term of things, I don't have a clue. um I don't think the current kind of problem, I feel like I want to solve bigger problems as time goes on, and develop into different and bigger businesses. But my main goal with this business at the minute is get it to a certain degree of partnerships where I'm helping as much people as I can physically manage. And then with skill, and then get the balance right there and maybe hire someone in to help me systemize it, help me manage it and help me grow it. And eventually over time have that business where every client is smashing their goals. I'm happy, it's profitable, it's consistently growing. And then I can kind of look at the bigger picture then again and see what's kind of truly in the heart. Because I remember we were talking about that last day. Sometimes a very practical business like that may not be like necessarily what's fulfilling inside.
Yeah.
Obviously it enlightens me and it grows that I can solve a problem. But I think it'd be after that, once I can kind of sustain a level of freedom, provide for myself, my family, have the things that I need, just pretty much a desk, a laptop, pay the bills, then from there to be able to go on and see what kind of the world has in store for Alex in a sense.
What have we not talked about, Alex, that we should be talking about?
That's a tough one. I may need a minute to think on that just to kind of get the pen and paper. And if we could pause here, I just think for just 1 sec because I don't want to rush into anything.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, just have a think about it, and there's a load of other areas that I want to touch on as well. So, if you project yourself 10 years down the line, so it's now 2035, do you have a vision for where you want to be personally and where you want your business to be?
That's a good one. And I have that kind of drawn out in my own mind, and I have the vision boards and I have everything in that sense built up. But as I said, the world can change so much in 10 years, that I am not 100% certain yet because I am still day by day trying to figure out kind of whatever he is. But I do think I want to have the kind of terms of kind of just by financially being free and be able to provide myself and not have the constraint of the worry, and just be able to kind of have that kind of, if I need to go somewhere, I can go there without having to worry about money or different kind of resource. And that's something that I really want to kind of prioritize for the next 10 years, and just having really a really gonna, I don't have to worry about money in a sense. And there's no necessarily figure. Like obviously I can say a 7-figure business, but I don't know. I don't know if that would be really the means to my heart yet. I don't know what the necessarily true needs are for myself since I'm so young. But my main goal is if I can provide for myself and family and not have to worry about money. Materialistic things, obviously, there's different things like the cars, and I have the visions driven up. But if I go down right down to the root, someone asked me this question. I remember said, they're like, "What car do you want?" And I was like, "A Porsche 911 GT3." And they were like, "Why do you want that?" And I was like, "I don't know." So it's, I want it from a status point of view to send it kind of as a badge. Probably it's been ingrained in me of the kind of world we're in to kind of strive for that. So I don't want to say I want that in 10 years because I've heard a lot of people have achieved that and then they don't want it because they're more worried about scratching the bloody thing than actually wanting it, you know? So I don't think in materialistic things, I think it will come what's meant to be. But from a person that I want, I just want to be able to provide, be very screwed on in the world that's going ahead with AI and beyond the trends, and be able to kind of provide success for myself, my family, and kind of push forward. But that's, and kind of be really linked in with God and kind of education, and just be very well knowledged. And the materialistic things that come, but just more or less a kind of a freedom of life in a sense.
If I gave you the option of having the 911 Porsche
Yeah.
in 10 years' time or having a senior hurling All Ireland medal with Dublin or with Kildare, which one would you take?
Oh, that's a tough one. I've never really set big county goals with the hurling. The hurling's more. I've never really perceived see myself as kind of good enough. There could be a limited belief going back to when I was young. And as of now, I wouldn't be good enough for the county level. Like,
What about playing with your club then and a club All Ireland?
I don't know. It is a weird one. I think I would, because I think I'd have to take, and the right thing to say is to take the win. I think as of now I would, like in 10 years time I would take it, but the Porsche would be pretty cool. But I think for memories, I think 100-year Alex would much rather the win with the hurling team, I think. But Alex now I think would say the Porsche 911.
Right, right, okay,
Um,
right.
I would like to win the hurling final. But I think from Alex now, he would be that portion at 11, but 100-year-old Alex would be the final for the memory.
Yeah, yeah. Is there anything out there that could stop you in your quest for superstardom? And I'm not saying superstardom is your quest, but you know what I mean. You're interested in developing yourself, you're interested in developing your business, you're interested in progressing and learning more and so on. Is there anything that would stop you from doing that? You're obviously interested in progression, you're interested in developing yourself and your business and hitting the goals that you are setting for yourself. Is there anything out there that would stop you from reaching those goals and targets?
Yeah, so yes and no. I think that on a fair scale of things, I will achieve guaranteed what I set out to do. When my mind does link onto something, like, there, nothing really will stop me from going at it. Now, as a time factor, it can vary. I might set out to do something and I say a month. If it takes me 3 months, I don't really mind. In the grand scheme of things, no, I do think, unless anything like primarily like tragical happens that stops me. But for right now, my situation, I don't think anything will. But the only thing is that I do have to be careful for is the obsessive. If I can, um, hopefully, like, I will, just kind of getting obsessive in the wrong way, because things can change, perceptions can change, beliefs can change, and just hopefully that I always have that output for driving success and it never goes down a negative route. But I always do think it would be positive, and anything that I do in the future set myself for. Current Alex believes that future Alex can do it, because I know on a day by day that I am doing what I can do to get there.
And what or who is there to help guide you on that journey? So if you feel like Alex is becoming obsessive and it's becoming a little bit negative, is there somebody or something that you can rely on or lean on to help you through those moments?
The primarily truth is I'm getting better at spotting it myself, but the main two people, and the people that I've always had from the start, was my mom and dad. They're the ones that actually spot it. And because they've seen me from 3 to 4, like, they know if I get obsessed about something from the blink of it. And they know, like, with the businesses, they see it, and they have their different perspectives and beliefs on things. And my friends from business and my school friends, and then like the older guys looking down, I kind of just try collectively take all the beliefs and inputs, and then kind of make something of myself and go with that, because everyone has rights and wrongs. Everyone's only human. We all don't know everything. So I just try to kind of take everyone's, in a sense, or if I feel like one's stronger than another, I will try to take that with my own pinch of salt and try go at that. But at the end of the day, I always kind of try to make a decision for myself of what I think's best, with everyone kind of that I believe and support around input.
If Alex was describing himself in one word, what words would you use to describe yourself?
One,
Give me one, yeah. What's the first word that comes to mind?
Obsessive.
Give me another one.
Ambitious.
Go on, keep going.
I'm trying to get them out of me. Um, Maybe sometimes delusional. I don't know if that's a good one, but um, that might be in the dictionary might not be good enough. Um, I think it's a hard one to kind of get the out, but from like it's a tough one.
Yeah.
It is
Would there be one other word that could aptly describe you?
charismatic. I don't know.
Wow.
I like I
Wow.
like I like
Yeah.
talking and listening to people. I like hearing what people have to say more. I like listening more in a sense. This podcast feels weird because it's all about kind of my story, but it's more the talking and hearing other people's inputs and things is kind of maybe that word can resonate with.
Yeah. We started out over an hour ago talking about your superpower, and your superpower was asking questions and your curiosity and your lust for knowledge and so on. And we've come back full circle to that very thing now. And it seems that it truly is your superpower. So I'm just fascinated by the journey you've been on, and I'm fascinated to see where it's going to take you. And I have no doubt that the skills and talents that you've built up in this short space of time are going to serve you well. And I hope we can stay in touch, and I hope we can meet up again very soon, Alex. But it's been a great pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks a million, Nikki, and 100%. We'll have to grab a coffee soon, and I can't wait to see how the podcast unfolds. You seem you have a great mission ahead, and I can't wait to see how it all pans out.
Yeah, probably needs a good website and a
I'll,
good growth partner. What do you think?
I'll look after you anyway, Nikki, and it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on, honestly, to give me the platform to be able to tell my story means so much.
Great stuff. Thanks, Alex. Talk
Thanks,
soon.
thanks, Nikki.